Hello and welcome to another Tuesday afternoon edition of BlindEyeLive. I'm your host, Hunter King, Blind Eye himself, and this is going to be a quick show today. Planning on not going longer than an hour. Don't really have time to go much longer than an hour today. So, with that being said, we got some news we're going to get into. I'm going to race through pretty much everything. We're not going to start with the big story at the top of the show. You've seen the title, but we'll get into the deets. Wow, that was I just used deets. I've been hanging around too many Zoomers. Anyway, we'll get into that. Got some follow-up on a story I covered yesterday regarding the death of former Michigan State Spartan and NBA player Adrian Payne. We've got Game 4 recaps for Memphis, Golden State, Boston, Milwaukee. Those will be quick. So let's go ahead and we got some other news stories, but let's go ahead and let's get to these box scores and kind of talk about what went down last night. We will start with Boston versus Milwaukee. 116-108 final. Boston evening the series, getting home court advantage back. Story of this game is Al Horford going 11 for 14, 5 of 7 from 3, 3 of 4 from the line, with 8 rebounds, 3 assists, a block, 1 turnover, 30 points, being plus 20 for the game. He had a great night. And, I mean, he was not alone among the Celtics. Jason Tatum, 11 from 24, 3 of 10 from 3, 5 of 5 from the line. The outside shooting, not the greatest, but his interior scoring was more than made up for that. He had 13 total rebounds, 5 assists, 2 turnovers, 30 points on his own. Marcus Smart, playing in this game, played 41 minutes, had a awesome game. 8 of 13, 2 of 3 from 3, couple rebounds, 8 assists, 2 block shots, 3 turnovers, 18 points. And then Jaylen Brown played really good defense. A lot of fouls among the starting lineup. This game was crazy through the first 3 quarters. It seemed like the refs just... It was like a 2-to-1 foul ratio against Boston. It was like for every foul they called on Milwaukee, it was like 2 against Boston. And then it kind of flipped in the last quarter, or in the fourth quarter. But Jaylen Brown finishing with 18 points, a steal, assist, 3 rebounds. Made all 6 of his free throws, was 5 of 11 from the field, 2 of 5 from 3. Didn't shoot as much in this game. I mean, it's kind of wild that he shot less than Horford and Smart, seeing as he's usually kind of like their second, has second most shot attempts. Grant Williams, not as great offensively in this game. He also was minus 17 his 25 minutes, starting this game in place of Robert Williams. They only played an 8-man deep rotation with only one of those bench guys getting more than 13 minutes. Theus and Pritchard missed all of their shot attempts combined. Although Pritchard, 4 assists, 3 rebounds, a steal. He was actually plus 14. Theus in his 11 minutes was abysmal, minus 10. And then you had Derek White put in a great 34-minute performance from just a defensive and ball movement standpoint. 11 points, a block, 3 assists, 4 rebounds, no turnovers on 4 of 6 shooting. Made both his free throws. Celtics played really good defense in this game. And, I mean, when you shoot 90% from the free throw line, 38% from 3, 50% from the field, it's going to take a really good offensive performance to top you. The other story other than Al Horford being awesome is Giannis Antetokounmpo. Now, it wasn't his most efficient scoring night by any means, but when he was on the court, for the 41 minutes he was on the court, Milwaukee was plus 1 for the game. Meaning in the 7 minutes he did not play, they got outscored by 9 points. And some people, that might be the bigger story. I mean, Horford kind of popping off was, kind of crazy, but Drew Holiday had a just awful night offensively. 5 of 22. 1 of 6 from the three-point line. He had 7 rebounds, 9 assists. He had 3 steals, but 5 of 22 shooting, bro. Not great. Giannis ended up finishing with 34 points. Drew Holiday had 16 points. Giannis, 34 points on 14 of 32 shooting. Missed all 4 of his three-pointers. He was 6 of 11 from the free throw line. He did have 18 freaking rebounds and 5 assists, but 4 turnovers, 5 fouls. Not an awful game by Giannis, but it wasn't extremely efficient. And no one else really had kind of like an above-average game, except maybe Brook Lopez, 17 points, a block, 7 rebounds, 5 of them offensive, 5 of 6 from the free throw line, 6 of 11 overall. Good game from him, but even that, they were -7 with him on the court. Drew Holiday was just, -23 is just kind of crazy. Wes Matthews was +7. Matthews had a good game. 3 of 5, 3 of 4 from 3, made all 3 of his free throws. He had 2 steals and a block. No turnovers, 4 fouls. Grayson Allen was bad in this game. The bench, you see all these guys got 1 minute, but really they also played an 8-man rotation. Bobby Portis was not extremely effective in his 15 minutes, except on the boards. He did have 6 rebounds, 3 of them offensive. 23 minutes from George Hill, but he literally shot once. He hit it, made 2 free throws, had a rebound, 2 assists, but once again, he was -6 in his minutes. Pat Connaughton in 30 minutes, 4 of 8 from the field, 3 of 6 from 3, had 7 rebounds, a steal and a block. No turnovers or fouls, 11 points. He was -6 though. But he was solid in this game. But you're not going to win if you're shooting 41.5% from the field, 33% from 3, and you get 7 more free throws than the other team, but only make 3 more. Boston just, they won that matchup. And this series is now tied going back to Boston, so they've gotten back a home court advantage. Someone who was not able to, though, was Memphis, who fought valiantly despite Ja Morant being out because Jordan Poole apparently somehow confused someone's knee for a basketball. Yes, Golden State was without Steve Kerr because somehow Mr. Vaxxed and boosted and wears a mask somehow still got COVID. But the Grizzlies fought valiantly, but it didn't matter. What is unfortunate here is, in this game, because Morant was out, Dylan Brooks took 19 shots. And he made 5 of them. Jaren Jackson taking 21 didn't shock me, but he missed all 7 of his threes. Brooks was 2 of 9 from 3. Tyus Jones, 8 of 18 from the field, 3 of 7 from 3. For him, that's solid. And here's the crazy thing. Out of the starting lineup, the 2 guys who were positive were Steven Adams and Desmond Bane. Not a shock. Bane took on more of a creator role in this game. He only shot 8 times, made 3 of those shots. He was 2 of 4 from 3. 6 assists, 3 steals. Jaren Jackson's defense was, 5 blocks, 2 steals. Good as always this season. But, this was just brutal. Now, Kyle Anderson, the bench played really well for stretches of this game. But in the fourth quarter, it just, it didn't work. Kyle Kyle Anderson, 17 points, 2 blocks, 2 steals, 2 assists, 8 rebounds on 7 of 8 shooting, 1 of 2 from 3. The problem is, how do you go 2 of 7 from the free throw line? If Anderson just shoots 5 of 7, tie game. This game goes to overtime. But if you'll notice, only 2 members of the Memphis Grizzlies actually shot free throws in this game. And that would be Jaren Jackson and Kyle Anderson. The refs kind of allowed the Warriors to just get away with a lot during this game in terms of free throw shooting. The literal difference in this game, this is the difference in the game. They shot 22 free throws as compared to the Grizzlies' 15. So they shot 7 more, and they made 11 more. So the Grizzlies, if they'd shot better from the free throw line, would have been good anyway. Or, it would have helped, but, they still were... Golden State got bailed out by the refs in this game because their shooting numbers weren't great either. Steph Curry, 10 of 25, 4 of 14 from 3. Klay Thompson, 6 of 20, 0 of 7 from 3. Andrew Wiggins was 7 of 13, but 1 of 5 from 3. Jonathan Kuminga started the game, only played 5 minutes. He shot no shots. Warriors are weird sometimes. Draymond Green played 33 minutes. He shot 2 times. Off the bench, Jordan Poole, 4 of 12, missed all of his threes. Damian Lee, 1 of 6, 0 of 2 from 3. The only person who had a positive shooting game was Otto Porter at 4 of 7 and 4 of 6 from 3. They had an abysmal game. The difference is they were allowed to shoot free throws. They were allowed to shoot, 7 free throws doesn't sound like a lot. But that was literally the difference in this game. Which, of course, the Grizzlies didn't create as many free throws, probably because they didn't have someone like Ja Morant on the court. So, Golden State goes, going back to Memphis, Golden State has a 3-1 lead, and it's unlikely that the Grizzlies make that comeback because 3-1 leads are typically insurmountable. Then again, Golden State's blown one before. So, that's your kind of, that's your playoff, or that's your recap of the NBA playoff games from last night. I don't know why I was struggling to do that there. Okay, so this is a story I covered yesterday we're going to get into. Former Michigan State basketball star Adrian Payne, who I reported yesterday, was shot and killed. Apparently, he was fatally shot while trying to prevent a domestic dispute, police investigation reveals. So, former Michigan State star Adrian Payne, who was shot and killed in Orlando, Florida, early Monday while trying to help a woman engaged in a domestic dispute, according to court documents released on Tuesday. And that is the risk you run, unfortunately, when you get involved in other people's issues. That's not a criticism of Payne, by the way. Lawrence Doherty, 29, pleaded not guilty after being arrested on a first-degree murder warrant in the shooting. Court documents filed in the Orange County Sheriff's Office's investigation state that Payne and his girlfriend, whose name was redacted in the report, went to the home of Doherty at the request of Doherty's girlfriend, Tatiana Mesa. Payne's girlfriend said Mesa had called her to intervene in past disputes with Doherty to prevent any physical violence. Why did you not leave the dude then at that point? That's one of the things that I guess I'll never understand. Payne and his girlfriend were parked near the home of Doherty, who arrived with his father in his father's car. Okay. So Doherty, per witnesses, approached Payne near his vehicle. So I guess, okay, so I guess maybe he had threatened her and was coming to her wherever she lived in, I guess. This is weird. Doherty, I mean, also, with his father. Glad your father condones of your crap behavior. Doherty and witnesses offer different accounts of what happened next. Doherty, who is 5'8", told authorities he felt threatened by the 6'10" Payne because of his size, and claimed Payne told him, "I'll smoke you, brah," during an argument. He said Payne started to reach for what he thought was a weapon before Doherty walked into his residence. Okay, so his residence. So I guess she was alone at his residence. Man, I'm confused here. Retrieved a gun and fired the single shot that killed him. So wait a second. So you thought he was reaching for a weapon. So you went in your residence to get a gun, came back out, and just shot the guy. There was no threat to you at the time. What? No firearms were found in Payne's vehicle. Payne's girlfriend told authorities that Payne did not pose a threat to Doherty, and they only showed up to play mediator. Which, one of the reasons your friend probably calls you is because you have a 6'10" boyfriend. Which, here's the thing, I'm 5'8". A 6'10" guy would intimidate me. Guess what? If I have a history of being violent towards a woman, and I don't want to be attacked, maybe don't be violent towards a woman. I don't know. This is interesting. They only showed up to play mediator. Payne did not make any threatening motions towards Doherty. Though video and audio captured of the incident through Payne's girlfriend can be heard telling Doherty, "Do not pull your gun out," and we were asked to come here before Doherty fired his weapon. Doherty's father got out of his car and tried to help Payne, who died in a hospital an hour after the incident. There we go. An hour after the incident. Doherty called 911 and claimed an intruder had attacked him. Per court documents, this man tried coming to my house. He cut around my block, and he tried shooting me. He told dispatchers. Now, wait a second. Now, here's the thing. Depending on what state you're in, there are different laws for what counts as intrusion. Stepping on someone's private property would not be intrusion. It can be considered trespassing. However, if he did not try and come inside your home, I don't believe that would count as intrusion in the state of Florida. However, I'm not a lawyer who does not know the statutes in that state. I do know Texas's statutes, and I'm pretty sure ours and Florida's are fairly similar from some court cases I follow. He cut around my block and he tried shooting me. It'd be hard for him to shoot you if he didn't have a gun. Florida is a stand your ground state where residents in a dwelling or residence in which the person has a right to be has no duty to retreat and has the right to stand his or her ground and use or threaten to use deadly force. Now that's true. However, if he went inside his house, retrieved a gun, came outside and just shot someone who was outside and not advancing towards them or threatening them, which it sounds like there is video of at least some of this incident, he's going to have a hard time proving stand your ground and self-defense. It's going to be even harder if, say, this goes to trial and a jury, if you're an abuser and you come out of your house firing at somebody. Just saying. But authorities on the scene of Monday's shooting determined that Payne did not pose an immediate threat to Doherty, who they arrested on a first-degree murder charge after questioning him at the police station. Man, I've got mush mouth. Payne was a member of the Yeah, read about his life. I'm in shock at the tragic news of Adrian Payne's death. Izzo said, Draymond. So, wow. So that's how that went. Okay. So, turns out he and his girlfriend showed up at the request of a friend to defend her or to mediate between her and her boyfriend. Which the reason she likely called that friend is because she has a 6'10" boyfriend who's jacked. But I'm sorry, like, the guy being 6'10" and you being 5'8" doesn't give you a right to shoot him. And, like, here's the other thing about this story. It would be one thing if Doherty had the gun on him at the time, Payne and him were face to face, Payne said something, there was a shove or something, and he shoots him. There's one thing there for a self-defense case. It is an entirely different thing to go inside your residence and then just come out and shoot somebody. It'd be one thing if you went inside to grab a weapon, come back outside, continue the argument, that person knows you're now armed, decides to escalate physicality, and then you shoot them, as what happened in the Texas, earlier this year there was a incident in, I believe it was Lubbock, Texas. I'm trying to remember if it was Lubbock or Abilene, but there was a, I believe it was, I'm trying to remember the name, I believe the man who was shot was Chad Reed, but he showed up to a place he was, or to someone's residence and I guess workplace, because it was also an office, and confronted his wife and her, I guess, new boyfriend or fiance about where where their son was. He was not at that residence, by the way, and apparently Chad knew that, but because I guess the son wasn't at wherever he was supposed to be picked up went at the time or whatever, incident ensues. There's an argument. Mr. Reed is told to leave the property, and he refuses. So the boyfriend goes inside, comes back out with a shotgun, and says, "Leave now." Instead of, being sensible and leaving and maybe potentially pressing charges the way he should, get the police involved, he instead decides, because he's bigger than the other dude, because Chad Reed was like 6 foot something. I think he's like 6'2". The other dude was like 5'7", 5'8". Like, he's around my size. He charges in and says, "I'm going to take that thing from you and I'm going to kill you." Or something to those effects. It's like, I'm going to take that from you and I'm going to use it. That, I believe, is the quote. And then proceeds to try and take the gun from the guy, and then slings him off of his porch, which in Texas is actually considered part of your dwelling. So he removes him from his property, which under Texas statute, you're allowed to basically do whatever at that point. And the guy gets his bearings and shoots him. Now, you would hope the guy would decide, cooler heads, now that there's some space, I'm not going to shoot. But, bang, bang incident. Texas jury said, or a grand jury decided we're not going to press charges, and charges were dropped because jury in the state of Texas ain't going or would not, you know, consider that an unjustified shooting. I think the opposite. This other case is basically the opposite of that. There's someone there. It's like someone shows up to somewhere requested. You go in on for the most part unprovoked. You go in and instead of like warning someone or doing whatever, you just come out firing. Is the way this is described. That's not going to fly in the state of Florida. Actually, that wouldn't fly anywhere. But really unfortunate. But this is the other thing. This is the risk you run when you get involved in disputes. This is the other thing. Adrian Payne wouldn't be in this situation or Adrian Payne wouldn't have died if instead of calling your friends, you call the police when you're being victimized. Call the police. All right, in some lighter news. Spurs owner Peter J. Holt insists team to stay in San Antonio and plan to play few games in Austin. Spurs owner Peter J. Holt on Tuesday told the team isn't going, fans not to worry, team isn't going anywhere. A plan to have the Spurs play a few games in Austin, 80 miles away, had raised local anxiety that the owner may be considering moving the team. And here is the letter PJ Holt put out on social media. Dear San Antonio, I love you. I love this city. A big city with a casual, small town feel and a great basketball team. I want to reassure you that the Spurs are in San Antonio to stay. What? I love the charretas, the big green trees, and watching my 4 children play at the splash pad at Yanaguana. Okay. You know, he's talking about, I love eating the best chicken in the world at Pollos Asados, Los Mortanos, on Rigsby near. Yeah, I'm not going to get into that. I was raised in San Antonio, and this city has helped define the foundation of the Spurs. The Spurs are as much a part of San Antonio as San Antonio is part of the Spurs. I was 12 years old when we won our first championship in 1999. My wife has early memories running behind the curtains at the Alamo Dome to get a David Robinson bobblehead. My children love to pull the tail of the coyote, the same way I did as a child. Everywhere I go in San Antonio, I love hearing stories of people's memories and connections to our team. Family became involved in the Spurs in the 90s because there was my family became involved in the Spurs in the 90s because there was a real threat that the team would be moved. We would not let that happen then, and we will not let that happen now. There is no other team in the NBA like the Spurs, and no other home like San Antonio. The military presence, the downtown honkers, the Salesian sisters who pray during games, the baseline bums, these are the San Antonio Spurs. The Alamo, the Missions, the Pearl, the Riverwalk, Fiesta. These are the San Antonio Spurs. I think people are overblowing like this. It's just that Austin's really close. Let's see. like Austin's really close. It's a big market. The G League affiliate is there. Now I'm one of these people that's like, yeah, but I prefer all home games to be played in the city, in the arena that in most cases tax money went to building, or at least a large portion of the money was tax money. But anyone who thinks the Holtz are going to move the Spurs is weird. Bexar County owns AT&T Stadium. Where the Spurs? I don't think it's not AT&T Stadium. ESPN. It's AT&T Arena. AT&T Stadium is Jerry World in Arlington, Texas. Bexar County owns AT&T Arena, where the Spurs play home games. County commissioners last week raised concerns about the team's request to play 2 home games in Austin's new Moody Center, which will host University of Texas games. A team official told the commission, the franchise is simply trying to expand its brand. Austin's soaring popularity and an influx of large corporations that could be major team sponsors have made San Antonio officials nervous that Texas's capital city could lure away the Spurs. Yeah, no, that doesn't make any sense. Now, like, it's literally 80 miles. No, that's not happening. I don't see that happening. Let's see here. Notre Dame's Mike Bray says college basketball football coaches should stop complaining about NIL. And that is absolutely right. And this is coming from Notre Dame. Remember, Notre Dame, sure, they've got some fairly deep pockets, but Notre Dame is a academic-focused school. They have academic guidelines that guys have to match. So they've been dealing with certain hurdles that a lot of other schools don't necessarily have to deal with. Anyway, so this is pretty big coming from their basketball coach. And I'm totally fine with it. Actually, the NCAA made a ruling, or came out with a ruling on NIL stuff that I think recently that was kind of interesting in that the NCAA, this is a funny one. They're like, no, we're not going to allow NIL contracts that have a enrollment, any kind of language about enrollment in it. And you know what? That's good. I'm okay with that. I've had the position that it'd be interesting to see some of these NIL contracts have being enrolled at certain schools. I'm actually glad that rule's been made, and that was a incorrect position on my part. Because name, image, and likeness is not about isn't directly tied to what's going on the field. It's tied to a player's brand. Now, that is affected by what goes on the field. But players aren't employees for universities. So they should not be getting paid because of their status with a university. So I think that's good. Let's see what Bay's comments are here. Coaches have got to stop complaining, Bray said Tuesday at the ACC annual spring meetings. Because outside of football, Notre Dame is, I believe, in the ACC for all their other sports. This is the world we're in, and last time I checked, we make pretty good money. So everybody should shut up and adjust. I love that. I'm going to be completely honest. I love the little bit of vinegar in that. In recent weeks, NIL has riled a number of coaches, particularly in the ACC in late April. Reports circulated that Miami basketball player Isaiah Wong would transfer if not offered more NIL money, though he ultimately denied the rumors and decided to stay with the Hurricanes. Meanwhile, Pitt wide receiver Jordan Addison entered the transfer portal earlier this month amid allegations of tampering from other schools and rumors of an NIL deal value or an NIL deal valued in the millions. Which, here's the thing, the NCAA, what they said basically was, or what I like about what they said about the NIL. Now, they said they do things on a case-by-case basis because they believed that's how it should be handled. My thing is, it needs to be handled in a timely manner. That's my only issue with the NCAA. I think they made the right decision, but will they implement it correctly? Probably not. If Addison did get an NIL deal valuated in the millions, if it's determined that, like, say, he transfers to USC and then he signs that deal, that kind of makes it look like he got the deal because he was transferring to USC. Despite those incidents, however, Bray said coaches need to accept the new reality. Last summer, the NCAA changed its regulations to allow any player to transfer without sitting out for a year. While a compilation of state laws went into effect, allowing college athletes to earn revenue for endorsements, speaking engagements, and other NIL opportunities. In the aftermath, booster groups have formed at a majority of FBS schools, offering lucrative NIL deals to both recruits and current players. On Monday, the NCAA announced it would seek to better enforce rules restricting NIL offers designed to lure athletes to a particular school. And I'm okay with that. And we're going to see what happens with some schools, including my own school, Tennessee. This is my thing. I like businesses sponsoring athletes. That's what I like. That's what I like. Like, for national brands, it's like, if someone wants to sponsor an athlete, I think that should be fine. Like, if the athlete's going to be doing something for their business. I do not like the idea that it is tied to the school that they are going to. Bray said he was doubtful the NCAA's enforcement efforts would be successful, however. I agree with that, and he suggested the power to address a largely unregulated market would ultimately fall to the individual conferences. Miami AD Dan Radakovich said that was a discussion point among athletic directors, but suggested the current strategy should resolve around solutions at the NCAA level because no one wants to take responsibility. No one wants to potentially put themselves at a disadvantage because they make a decision and someone at another conference doesn't follow it. Is it better from a conference or national perspective, Radakovich said. That'll need to get vetted a little bit more, but right now it's more national compliance enforcement, so that's what we need to look at. Which could also be more, like, the way, that's such a weird way to say that. I mean, it's like, so they're worried about compliance with the NCAA, like things complying with the NCAA because they're not worried about people complying with the way the conference itself sees it. The NCAA has offered little evidence it could effectively enforce what few regulations are in place, and with fear of antitrust litigation, most coaches doubted a stricter rule book was forthcoming. Yeah, I don't think I want to get any further into that. I'm just, let the players get paid. Now, this is big news. Sorry, and I'm checking my phone because I'm wanting to check my time. FIFA EA Sports to end video game partnership, game to continue under new name. So this is interesting. The FIFA video game will be disappearing after the maker failed failed to strike a new licensing deal with World Soccer's governing body. Instead, EA Sports FC will be introduced from 2023 after the company creates the final game in partnership with FIFA later this year. EA has been producing a FIFA game for around 3 decades, and its fond association with fans worldwide helped the Zurich-based organization's brand when it was tarnished amid a wave of arrests of soccer officials in 2015. I don't think the game actually helped at all. Whatever. We're thankful for our many years of great partnership with FIFA, EA CEO Andrew Wilson said in a statement. I actually think EA's probably distancing themselves from FIFA. Now that makes me wonder if they would be able to do their World Cup stuff from here on out. Like, they do have a big partnership with UEFA regarding the Champions League. So I do wonder, let's see, let's finish this statement. The future of global football is very bright, and fandom around the world has never been stronger. We have an incredible opportunity to put EA Sports FC at the heart of the sport and to bring even more innovative and authentic experiences to the growing football audience. I wonder if the FIFA's licensing fee that they wanted was ridiculous, or exorbitant. For many, FIFA means a game rather than a sports politics institution. Now FIFA will have to search for a new video gaming opportunities beyond EA. That's the article, not quote there. That's interesting, and that's true. A lot of people refer to FIFA and they think of the video game, not the actual organization. At least younger fans. Of course, you've got Pro Evolution Soccer still exists, but they've been doing fine without FIFA for a long time. In his own statement later on Tuesday, in its own statement later on Tuesday, I was like, wait, what? FIFA said it would be launching new soccer video games developed with third-party studios and publishers. Several non-simulation games were already in production and will launch in the third quarter of this year, FIFA added. Which is interesting because, people used to love the FIFA Street series, and EA, instead of, continuing that as its own series, they started doing this Volta football thing as part of the game, and then that was kind of cool, and then they decided to ruin that with this past year's edition, I think, if I remember correctly, because they basically made it all or most of it online. It's just like everything with EA. Let's take away all the offline features. So this will be interesting. I can assure you that the only authentic real game that has the FIFA name will be the best one. Or the best one available for gamers and football fans, FIFA president Gianni Infantino said. Sure, you crooked loser. The FIFA name is the only global original title. FIFA 23, FIFA 24, FIFA 25, and FIFA 26, and so on. The constant is the FIFA name, and it will remain forever and remain the best. We will see, because to some people, the FIFA game wasn't even the best anyway. A lot of people like Pro Evolution Soccer better. I didn't, but I also might be a scrub. The interactive gaming and esports sector is on a path of unrivaled growth and diversification. What? FIFA's strategy is to ensure we can make the most of all future options and ensure a wide range of products and opportunities for gamers, fans, member associations, and partners. Oh, I hate legal corporate speak. To be fair, though, they're getting away from EA, so that could actually allow them to get someone who will make better games. Um, and this could hurt EA. And my gosh, I hope it does to maybe snap some sense into EA and actually, make them feel like they have some competition they need to change or do something better than they're already doing. Heaven knows we need it for Madden, but the NFL's freaking idiots. The players in the NFL despise Madden. Like, at this point. And the league's, still being stupid. But, what? Okay, don't care about that. Alright. Let's see. And then I think I have one more story here before we get to the big story that we will close on. Portland Trailblazers elevate Joe Cronin from interim GM to permanent GM. He's been the interim since they fired general manager Neil Oshie. So let's see. Okay, so that decision was made. Now we're going to talk about, and we're going to finish off the show with the biggest story of the day. And that is Tom Brady has... Well, we know what Tom Brady's going to be doing at the end of his playing career. When he finally decides to actually, for real this time, retire, he will be going to Fox Sports as their lead NFL analyst. And the deal that is on the table that he has apparently agreed to is massive. As in, more than he's making right now per year as an NFL quarterback. Well, at least allegedly more than what he's reportedly making. He has agreed to a 10-year, $37.5 million contract with Fox Sports that will begin when he decides to retire and hang it up. 10-year, $375 million. That's $37.5 million per year. That's more than any non-quarterback in the NFL, and that's more than all but like 5-6 quarterbacks currently in the NFL, something like that. Just incredible money. Which, I mean, this shouldn't be a shock to people when Tony Romo retired and became the lead color commentary for the CBS's number one team, or number one NFL team, or their A team, if you will. He actually he signed a contract that I think made more than what he was going to make that year, or about the same amount. And he was one of the top paid quarterbacks in the league at that point. So, but this is like, from what I was aware of the starting number for Tony Romo's original, like his contract, this is like $20 million a year more, or somewhere in that ballpark. Like, ugh. Here's the thing, though. This is big for sports media. Because ESPN just stole Troy Aikman and Joe Buck from Fox. I say stole, like their contracts were up. But they snaked them to be the new A team for Monday Night Football, which, great. I hate Joe Buck, and Aikman's fine. This actually has the ability to this deal, Tom Brady going to Fox Sports, has the potential to create a seismic shift for Fox Sports. Because, yeah, losing Buck and Aikman stinks, but no one was really watching Fox broadcast for Buck and Aikman. People will watch Fox Sports to listen to Tom Brady. Like, people, that's a name that's going to move the needle for anyone. Romo moved the needle in a big way for CBS when he took over at that A commentator spot and, you know, replaced Phil Simms. Like, that was such a massive upgrade. You went from arguably the worst color commentator in the sport to the best. Like, Romo immediately stepped in, and it was like... I mean, it was like the sun shined for the first time after a Arctic Circle winter. You know? But Brady's a bigger star. He's a bigger draw. Like, Brady is a brand that's as big as any entity in sports itself in the United States, if not the world. This has huge ramifications. But we'll see what happens. Because once again, Brady's got to retire first. And this is being reported. We'll see if that's really locked in. But I mean, that's big time. And think about it. This is also interesting because Brady's got the whole Man in the Arena thing documentary on on ESPN Plus. So very interesting. But Fox just backed up the Brinks truck right there. Because just in total money and commitment, that's bigger than any contract in the NFL, non-Patrick Mahomes division. So, I mean, that's nuts, bro. But a 10-year, $375 million contract for Brady. Man, getting paid, bro. So, we'll see how many more years Brady has left. I think this one will be the last one. I really do. Because considering he came out of retirement, I don't think he wanted to retire yet. But I really think this will be the last year. Because either with that roster and with Bowles moving up to head coach and Leftwich taking full control over the offense, Bowles and Brady, I really do think that this team and if they're healthier this year, this team absolutely has the ability to be better than last year. Otherwise, Brady's going to be worse. This team maybe is worse, and either they're going to go out on a higher note this year than they did last year, or they're going to go out on a lower note. And, you know, I just think Brady's going to retire at the end of this year. I think this is the last year. So, that being said, we're looking at, and there's no way he plays more than 2 years. Like, if he doesn't retire at the end of this year, he doesn't play past the 2023 season. Period. So, we're looking at 2023, 2024, Tom Brady going to Fox Sports. And that's going to be very interesting because this is also big news because other people in the media are going to know this, or are going to notice this. The NFL is going to, this is a big domino to fall. There's going to be a lot of dominoes falling after it. So this is going to be really interesting. And this shows Fox Sports is really investing in trying to. They're coming at ESPN's throne. And I think it's a good time to do it because ESPN's weak right now, as far as I'm concerned. Outside of, the live sports stuff, I know there's a lot of people who watch stuff, but a lot of the places where I see ESPN these days, the non-live sports content, is at businesses and stuff. Not in people's homes. I don't watch ESPN anymore. I don't watch SportsCenter anymore. I'll go to ESPN.com, but I'm not going to ESPN's or to ESPN's channels. Screw that. Heck, I watched the NFL draft on NFL Network this year, not ESPN. People, there are a lot of people looking for any excuse to watch somewhere other than ESPN. And if Fox would get rid of Skip Bayless, they would become like the premier place for people to go watch sports-related news and entertainment. Getting Tom Brady's definitely going to bring that out for them for sure. This is massive news. With that being said, that's really all I've got for today. So I'm gonna sign off of here and get ready for stuff I got going on this evening. But I appreciate y'all tuning in, live or after the fact. I think I actually came in at under an hour today. How about that? This will be an easy one to listen back to. So, appreciate y'all. I hope y'all have a great rest of your Tuesday, and I'll see you guys tomorrow. And sorry about not having a morning show. I'm having trouble sleeping again, so I slept through my alarm. So, I like doing the morning shows, but only like when I'm actually up and ready, like, waking up on time, like naturally. So, I don't know. The morning shows might just be a when it happens thing, but the 3 p.m. shows are not going anywhere unless I announce it beforehand. So, anyway, hope y'all have a great rest of y'all's Tuesday. I'll see y'all tomorrow, 3 p.m. again. Please follow me, 100K13 on Twitter, HunterKing1313 on Instagram, and